I am back. It's me, your boy, and I'm here to talk about one of the most anticipated games of 2019, Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Now, keep in mind, I am a giant Resident Evil fan, but because I grew up with Resident Evil 4 onward, I never really got a chance to play a lot of the older Resident Evil style games.
So what are my thoughts on the game? How about the gameplay? The presentation? What about the overall impact? Stick around to find out. This is Resident Evil 2 Remake, the review. So when you start the game up, you click story and everything, you'll be welcomed by this screen.
Asking you to choose between Leon and Claire. Now, according to Capcom stats, 80% of people who play the game choose Leon off the bat and only 20% choose Claire.
So, like 80% of the other people, let's start with a look into Leon's campaign.
In short, I enjoyed Leon's campaign. Exploring the RPD for the first time filled me with wonder, anxiety, and paranoia. Leon's story was solid, but the pacing is what really took me by surprise. Resident Evil 2 seems to really know when to turn up the heat with boss fights or have you enter a room with two liquors, and have the heat simmer down to a more mild, suspense-fed sort of puzzle, exploration, item management kind of gameplay.
But the exact same thing can be said for Claire's campaign, and since this is Leon versus Claire, let's take a closer look at Claire's side of the story. Now, the differences between, both of the campaigns isn't a huge amount. You pretty much explore the same areas, but the biggest difference, noticeably, if you've played, is obviously Sherry versus Ada.
And this is the reason why I actually prefer Claire's campaign over Leon's. I found that Ada, as much as she was mysterious and intriguing, I found that the level you control Ada in was pretty disappointing.
You see, at one point in the story, Leon literally takes a bullet, like an idiot, for Ada, and is therefore injured.
After that, you're a full-time electrician in the future. In all seriousness though, all you do in Ada's, level and chapter is walk around with your futuristic Watchdogs hacking device, aim through the walls, and then hold the trigger. And you do that like 3 times in a row.
That's literally it. Even the puzzle that you get with Ada in Ada's chapter, you have to hack your way out of it. Like what is this, Watchdogs? Like, come on, come on.
In Claire's campaign, however, there is no Ada. Just a very young Sherry and a very fat Chief Irons.
Which, side note by the way, I really like Chief Irons as an antagonist. He comes across as like a real bitch, which is good for the game. He could almost be like a stand-in for like Professor Umbridge.
Death was a tragic accident.
It was murder. Voldemort killed him. You must know that.
Enough.
As for actually playing as Sherry, I found that it was pretty fun. In fact, my favorite puzzle of the entire game was in Sherry's level. Yeah, that little block thing.
In the end, I just felt like Claire's campaign was a lot more fun. She had better levels. I really liked Sherry more than Ada. I wasn't really too fond of Ada in this game. And she had cooler weapons. I mean, she pretty much literally had the Tempest from Black Ops 3. If you've played the Resident Evil 2 remake, then you're probably no stranger to shooting zombies straight in the face.
But the reason why I made this kind of a part of its own under gameplay is because the combat itself is just so good. It all just seems to be so damn smooth. In this game, it doesn't skip a beat. The mechanic that counters spray and pray is genius, and it all sounds and flows so well. Coming in at a solid 95 out of 100 for gameplay, that is pretty damn high if you ask me. Pros, lots of replayability. We got 4 campaigns to choose from. Decent story, great combat, cool weapons. Cons, the whole scenario A and B situation was confusing, especially for someone who's never played Resident Evil 2 before. Like, which is canon? Like, what do I play? I just played all 4 of them. I thought they were all great. And Ada's chapter was a bit disappointing. I wish it was a little more different, but I can't complain too much. Anyways, we still got 2 more categories to go on: presentation and general impact. So let's jump right into the game's presentation. To be honest, for the music-wise at least, for presentation, the soundtrack that you get with the game is horrendous.
What I just said is not an overstatement. This game's original soundtrack, the one it came boxed with, is horrendous. Mostly because there is none.
other than maybe the save theme, what soundtrack really stood out to you? For me, at least for what it came with, was really nothing.
And yes, Capcom could have been going for the less is more kind of tactic thing, or maybe even the Oz effect, just because it's a horror game, but honestly, it was a huge letdown.
I mean, it really did feel like they were getting kind of lazy and just wanted to bank off the original soundtrack swap.
Which directly leads me to my next statement. The soundtrack swap for the original saves this game. Unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, Resident Evil 2 Remake is a good game either way, but for me personally, I couldn't believe it when I swapped the soundtracks. I mean, it was like the game had been reborn again. The menu had great sound, levels had music. It was like a whole new experience. I mean, take this for example. Before, if you're walking around the RPD or wherever you are in the chief's office, there's no music. And after, for me personally, this is one of my favorite, you hear this compared to literally nothing. Moving on here, though, to a different topic under presentation still, which I found particularly satisfying, that is simply all the sound effects in this game. Now, if you've played Resident Evil 2 Remake before, then you are familiar with the one Mr. X's booming footsteps that instill fear in you as you hold your breath trying to figure out exactly where he's patrolling, or even the extremely satisfying head sploosh you get to hear when you insta-kill the zombie.
You asshole!
You can even hear zombie dogs growling in the distance, lickers that make your hands freeze because you know if you touch the controller, you're probably gonna get bitch slapped by one. Presentation 74 out of 100. Pros, the swap soundtrack was great, some great sound effects in this game, really well done graphics and motion capture and voice acting. It seemed really well done in this game. No shortcuts, they didn't skip any details. Cons, the not swap music was literally a complete failure in my opinion. It was just not good. But we still have one last category to look into, and that is the overall impact of the game. So let's jump right in. Okay, so Mr. X.
Yeah, this guy.
I mean, he is probably the most memorable part of this game for me. I mean, he comes into the game randomly with literally one goal in mind. Literally just to fuck you up.
And yes, he can be extremely annoying chasing down you when you're just trying to do like puzzles or just explore the mansion a bit, and there's this guy who's literally sprinting his ass at you. But for the most part, he is one of the cooler aspects of this game.
Also, side note by the way, there are a couple rooms in the game where, he can't enter. I want to try to figure out what those were and kind of toy around with the fundamentals. And it's kind of funny actually, the way it works out. Just take a look at this. If you're wondering what kind of category overall impact is, you're not alone. It doesn't describe itself through the title like something like gameplay or presentation, but overall impact pretty much in all is just your opinion on the game. Is it unique? Is it memorable in your mind? In at the end of the year, when I'm ranking games of the year, will Resident Evil 2 come to mind? Do I say, oh, well, I gotta have Resident Evil top 3? Or you say, you know, that game was good. It was, you know, it had good gameplay, it had good presentation, but, you know, I don't really have fond memories of it. You know, I don't really memorize it. Two things that come to mind is Detroit Become Human was a really good game, but it's not really in my mind as a memory. Like, I don't really think of it as a top 5 games of the year. And Ghost Recon Wildlands, horrible gameplay. It's one of my favorite games I've ever played on my PS4. And of course, one of the variables when ranking overall impact is, will the game hold up over time? One of the greatest examples is Lost Sphere. I rated it like a 6 out of 10. I wasn't a big fan. But now, like, I think 7 months later, it's one of my favorite games of 2018 now. And I actually won't even mind going back and playing the 30-hour game. But moving on, the overall impact I had for Resident Evil 2 was definitely one thing I had in mind was that the future is bright for not Capcom only, but remakes in general.
And I'm sort of hoping that, you know, other game developers and companies start using this Resident Evil 2 remake as a foothold or foundation and inspiration to remake some of their own games.
Here's to me hoping, though, I get an RTS Iron Man remake or just even a King Kong the Game remake. Please happen. The final verdict for Resident Evil 2 remake on overall impact is 89 out of 100. Pros, Claire has new life. She's a badass. She is everything in this game. She steals the show. Mr. X is memorable. The future is bright for Resident Evil and Capcom and all that. Lots of replayability. You got scenario A of Leon and Claire, scenario B of Leon and Claire. You got bonus game modes. You got another bonus free game mode coming in February. I mean, it's going to be hot. Final verdict for this game, Resident Evil Remake, 8.9 out of 10. It got a 95, a 74, and an 89. Pretty solid if you ask me. This is the first game I played in 2019. I still have a few in 2018 I want to play. I'll get to that. But 8.9 out of 10 is solid. I mean, this was one of my more favorite Resident Evils. It's probably ranked 3rd or 4th. I still have Resident Evil 4 up there, Resident Evil 5, just for nostalgic reasons. You know, in the end, I really do love this game. It brought back item management, kind of classic horror genre. Mr. X was incredible. Claire Redfield was just out of the park. I mean, she's like if Rachel Amber was into the Resident Evil universe, which I wish was a thing. But for now, I will end this review and hopefully you enjoyed it.
I guess I owe you. I'll hold you to that.
Thanks for sticking around till the end. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff if you want. Also, Patreon links in the description if you want to support the channel. 50% of the proceeds go directly to charities for the environment. Really good cause. Support my channel. I'll appreciate it. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.